I'd like to just kind of think out loud as I walk back to the side-by-side here and just express some gratefulness. I think my life is unbelievably blessed. I do believe it is better than most men. I know how that sounds on the surface. It sounds prideful or arrogant. But I know it's objectively because the Lord has shown me an unique amount of grace and favor. Now, I have made some what I think are wise decisions, namely the woman I chose to marry, and to choose to follow the Lord in what I would say culture, even church culture, would call kind of a little squirrel right in my back. The culture would call it kind of radical ridiculousness. I mean, you see my post, people are like, man, that guy's extreme. Well, I'm actually stepped outside of the culture, I think, enough so that I can have a more objective view into the culture to be able to call out things the way I see it and the way I've seen it. I've made enough disciples over the years to see habitual patterns in their life, namely how Satan attacks them through lust and through pornography. You guys know my shtick. But also, like Paul says, we're not ignorant of Satan's designs. Like, he just kind of dresses up the same playbook in new ways with each generation. And if we learn how to fight him, we can be successful and do some crazy things for the Lord. So yeah, I do think my life is better than most people. And one of them is because I choose to do things like this. Had a couple hours. I need to come check on some things at the property. And man, just walking in the snow is a good choice. Things are different in different seasons. I just snuck up on 15 deer because they couldn't hear me coming, crunching through the leaves. And it was awesome, man. I'm getting like dopamine floods. It feels good and it's godly. Like, God's created you and me, especially men, to enjoy this. Now you might be saying, well, it's great for you, Tyler. You got a great piece of property. We don't have that. Man, 2 miles that way is the national forest with 1,000 times more acreage that you can do this exact same thing on. So 90% of my job is making guys recognize their excuses, like the one you may have just been thinking of, and then getting over it and doing something about it. And so I'm just grateful right now, walking through the woods. Saw a bald eagle just now. I got to record a really nice 8-point. Not gonna lie, I was not planning on shooting one, but if I would have my bow, I might have dropped him, because it was the idea of just being able to take one in the snow, and the way I snuck up on him was kind of cool. It was pretty neat. So, but I got to talking with, I was doing a discipleship meeting with some guys this morning, and we were talking about faith. What is faith? And I mean, I tried to equate the idea of faith shows itself in risk, and there's reasons why most guys don't get an opportunity to flex their faith muscle, because they never are willing to take any risk. And phones, especially porn and cheap women, make it really easy for guys never to have to take risk in their whole life, especially in formative adolescent years, where they're learning that risk brings reward, and it's good. My boys and me and Angela watched that new David cartoon movie, and I tried to explain to them, like, look at the faith that David has in the Lord, but he also takes risk, and God shows him. He fights the lion. He doesn't ever go fight Goliath unless he fights the lion, kills the bear, tends his sheep. God uses those risk to give him little reward so that he can take the greater risk of faith later on. Now, I was quick to highlight that who are you in the story? You're not David. You're not the hero. You're the scared Israelites being cursed at by the enemy and about to be enslaved forever. You need a savior. But man, that's just kind of what I was thinking, how grateful I am, and that the Lord has rewarded our steps of faith. I mean, look at this place. It was scary as all get out to take a risk to do this. I wrote a letter to a random person in Maryland and got a reply back. You don't think that's from the Lord? So I do think my life is better, because yes, I do think God has measured, as Romans says, more grace out to me. Why? It's because it's grace. I don't deserve any of it. And so I will spend the rest of my life returning it back in worship and in glory. And that's why I like using this place for ministry. I don't know if you can see those two chairs right over there. The things that God has done in those two chairs are incredible. And a lot of it is just getting these city boys who have never been out in a place like this and put their phone away. And I do it by design. I take them on the water first. I'm like, bro, you probably don't want to bring your phone out here. You ever kayak before? No. Did you bring a dry sack? No, and they didn't. You better leave your phone up in the vehicle. They're like, yeah, good idea. The goal is to get them away from what's enslaved them for their whole lives. And then when they just sit there and we're not staring at each other eye to eye, you know, looking right at each other, but staring out into something. That's what guys need to do, things shoulder to shoulder. We need to fight together. We need to build together, and we need to go on mission together. And the things that have come out in those chairs in men's lives are absolutely unbelievable. Some things are shocking to me and heartbreaking. I never make that clear. I'm always like, yeah, man, I got you. I'm walking with you. But some of the things that men tell me are absolutely heartbreaking. And I believe it's because they've never stepped away from the thing that's enslaving them, realizing that they can safely tell people, and they'll still be loved, and they'll still be known, and they'll still be cared for. So just stuff I'm thinking about as we're walking around here. I don't know why I decided to record that, but maybe it's a blessing to some of you guys, and you get to, hopefully you get to go outside in this stuff. Snow's special, man. It changes what is very familiar to me. Like, I know a lot of these trees, specifically where they are on the property, but man, snow just makes it look unique. It makes it look different. And so, yeah, hope it's a blessing for you just to get to see how beautiful the Lord is. Oh, I thought this too, how everything was frozen. But the river will never freeze. I've been out here when it was those minus 20 days a couple years ago. The river will never freeze. Why? It's always moving. It's just moving. Stay moving, and you can't get stuck. Take that for what it's worth. 2 cents, $1, I don't know. But thanks for watching.